Welcome back to Footballology. So this week I had something different for you guys. One of my different videos outside of what's happening in the NFL currently. Still an NFL video, just what's not inside of NFL as of today. If you guys remember in my 6 foot and under club video, if you go back and watch that, that was a video that I really liked. I was really happy with, and I was excited that I had a chance and opportunity to put it out. This is going to be something similar to that, but we're going to talk about the Grown Man Club. Now, this was a video that was requested by someone, so I really wanted to put out this video. Now, this video basically consists of big body receivers, the big receivers, the game-changing receivers, in my opinion, the guy that changed it for everybody, Randy Moss. So those type of receivers, the guy that can run just as fast as the small guy, but can jump just as high as the biggest guy on the field, or because 9 times out of 10 he is the biggest guy on the field, but can jump, the 40-inch verticals that can, jump over 2 or 3 players that just, you can't stop. You just can't. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this list, and let's get right into it.
Drop down and shake it, shake. Drop down and shake it, shake. Drop down and shake it, shake. Drop down and shake it. Drop down and shake it, shake. Drop down.
Before we start off the Grown Man Club, I want to talk about the guy that I feel like that is just like, I would say vice president of the Grown Man Club, because we got Randy Moss. I'm going to say that Randy Moss is the president of the club, but I feel like Calvin Johnson is right there. Calvin Johnson was one of the receivers that made me fall in love with the game even more, and just made me look at the receiver position as like, if you're not 6'3" or taller, that you're not trying. And so he's 6'5", he's 220 plus pounds, and the guy can run just as fast as a small guy, and can jump, like I said, really high, 40-inch vert, 38-inch vert, like on a 6'5" frame. Like, that's just insane. So he can high point the ball with the best, but at the same time he can outrun the best. And one of those things is just too big for a corner, too fast for a safety, and it's just uncoverable. How do you do him? Or how do you cover him? You double team him, but that won't work. Like that, just, you can't do anything with that. But Calvin Johnson was just always the guy that I looked up to. He obviously, you look at the pictures, he's dude just does that. That's what he does. He catches in traffic with the best, if not the best, of catching in the traffic, and it's just ridiculous. And personally, I was so sad the day that he decided to retire, and I'm so sad because he never got a ring, because I feel like he was just that beast of a receiver. Like, how do you not give that man a ring? Just give him an honorary ring. Like, sorry, you played for Detroit your whole career and you couldn't make it to the Super Bowl. But Calvin Johnson has always been my favorite receiver throughout any era of football, in my opinion. He's just my favorite receiver. He's one guy that I always wish that, if I did an all-decade team, or all-time NFL squad, Calvin Johnson be right there as my team, or as one of my starting receivers. This dude would just be, how do you not have Calvin Johnson on your team? That's just the way I look at it. So now we're going to jump right into the club members. First on our list, we got Jordy Nelson. Now, Jordy Nelson, he's about 6'3", 6'2", I think he's like 6'3", 6'4", somewhere around there. He's a guy that doesn't have the crazy speed, but for some reason can run away from everybody. He has football speed, and that's something a lot of people don't ever really talk about when it comes down to it. Like, you put him on, a straight line track and gym shorts, he won't outrun anybody. But you put him in, football pads and, tell him to go get that 30-yard post down the field, he's going to be right there outrunning the corner and the safety at the same time. Has great hands, I think. I think he has one, if not, probably one receivers with the most underrated hands in the league. Like, granted, he is playing with Aaron Rodgers, so it makes it look easier, but I really feel like his hands are underrated. He's a great catcher of the ball. Really, I would say an average to above average route runner. I don't feel like he's the best route runner, especially out of these group of guys, but he's definitely an average to above average route runner. But once again, he's just a receiver that can go up and attacks the ball. He's right there. He's a reliable receiver that you feel really confident throwing into. His catch radius is about average, but he's just that guy. I don't know if you know what I mean when I say this. He's just that guy that you really can't put your finger on it, but he has it. You know what I mean? And Jordy Nelson is that receiver, and I feel like that he's well deserving to be in a Grown Man Club, because the dude can ball. Like, that's no doubt about it. Dude can ball. Our next club member is AJ Green. Now, AJ Green is currently one of my favorite active receivers. 6'4", Now, AJ Green, once again, he runs about 4.4 if I remember correctly. And he's not a guy, let's put it this way, he's not a guy that looks like he's running fast, but he's just a long strider. Like, you look at AJ Green's legs, he can cover a lot of ground. That, you know, the time it takes the corner to cover 10 yards, you know, in like so many steps, AJ Green can cover 10 yards in 2 steps, you know what I mean? And it's just like 1, 2, and he's already gone 10 yards. So he's a really good strider. I feel like his route running is a little bit above average. You don't see AJ Green running too many crazy routes, but his catching in traffic is phenomenal. The dude is crazy. Hand-eye coordination is probably the best in the league. And you hear a lot of people said that before, and it's true. Like, his hand-eye coordination, where you see him focusing on the ball, concentrating on the ball, and catching it, that he's probably the best receiver at doing that. And so with the combination of him being a strider and him being able to pull away from people without actually pulling away from people, he gives you that with the hand-eye coordination, him always focusing on the ball, and then his catch radius with the long arms. Like, look at his arm. Like, his arms are crazy. His catch radius is phenomenal, and I think he's probably one of the most underrated receivers, really. Like, he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Like, people talk about AJ Green because they know, like, yeah, it's AJ Green. Like, he's good. Like, you can't deny what he brings to the table. But I feel like he's an underrated receiver when it comes down to it. You know, everybody talks about Odell Beckham, Antonio Brown, you know, Julio Jones. You got those guys, but then AJ Green kind of is like, oh yeah, then you have AJ Green. I feel like AJ Green can still be a top 5. If not, I mean, realistically, you break down the list, is a top 5 receiver in the league. And it's just, I don't know, it's crazy. He just strider. That's the best way to describe AJ Green. He's just a strider. He can cover 10 yards in 2 steps and be out of there in no time. Next on our list is the man, the current active receiver that is the grown man of the year. Like, he's plain and simple, Julio is the grown man of the year award, because Julio Jones is the Calvin Johnson clone. Like, you know, there's a generational receiver, and, you know, I feel like Randy Moss was like that 90s receiver, and then you had Calvin Johnson, which was like the early 2000s receiver. Then now you got Julio Jones. The guys that are big, fast, and strong. Once again, too big for a corner, too fast for a safety, and Julio Jones is that, and everything in the bag of chips in between. The guy is really good, solid route runner. You can definitely put together a solid route tree. And I definitely feel like his hands are quality. Catch radius is out of this world. Like, that, hands down, is the phenomenal. Like, that's probably his best trait in my opinion. His catch radius is crazy. And then his ability to attack the rock when it's in the air is, you know, basically best. It is the best in the league. Like, you can't get any better than him. Seen what he did in the Super Bowl. When the ball's in the air, he's one of those guys. And it's so cliche of a thing to say, but it's very true. He's one of those guys that when the ball's in the air, it's his and nobody else's. If you guys remember back the Carolina game, that one that he just plucked over Luke Kuechly. Like, what else did Luke Kuechly? What could you want Luke Kuechly to do in a situation like that? Because he was going up against a grown ass man and Julio Jones, and it's just like, you can't deny Julio the ball. Like, if you go into a game, like, you can double bracket him, you can, you know, triple team him, whatever you want to do. You can put a linebacker underneath, a corner at the mid level, and a safety at the deep level, and you still can't cover Julio because he's just that good of a receiver. He's gonna find a way to get open, and if you just get it within, I would say, we're gonna say 5 feet, 6 feet of just his radius, his area, and it really is not even that. Like, that's an understatement when you think about it, but I feel like if you get it within like a certain radius of him, it's gonna be guaranteed to be caught. If he has to dive for it, jump for it, or roll on the ground and do a backflip for it, he's gonna catch the ball. And Julio Jones is just that receiver. He's just that beast of a receiver. And it's crazy because you go back and look at the Atlanta trade, and everyone thought Atlanta was pretty crazy, but it was probably one of the best draft trades ever to go up and get a receiver of this caliber. Our next club member, which in my opinion is really weird to me. I don't know why. I'm gonna explain to you guys. Larry Fitzgerald, in my opinion, is coverable. Now, let me explain myself. He's extremely coverable, but to the extent of what he wants you to do. Like, he allows you to cover him to a certain extent. And then after that, it's just like, you might as well give up. The best hands on the list, hands down, by far. I feel like his hand-eye coordination is better than AJ's. His hands are way better than pretty much any other player on this list than Jordy Nelson. It's like, Larry Fitzgerald was a phenomenal beast. And then this past season, moving to the slot and proving to us that he can also be a route running receiver, block and do everything. Larry Fitzgerald is like the true receiver that you want on your squad. He can do it all. Now, the reason why I say he's coverable, though, I feel like he's coverable to the aspect that he doesn't possess the speed of the other guys on the list. Even like, early career Larry Fitzgerald, when he was just coming out of Pitt, he wasn't a blazer. He wasn't a guy that was going to pull away from you. But if the ball was there and he didn't care how many defenders were around him, he's going to catch the ball. Like, it's his all day. And, I mean, dude makes phenomenal. Like, he was doing one-hand catches before Odell got in the league. Odell one-hand catch just looked cooler, so it was like everybody just blew up on that. But realistically, Larry Fitzgerald was just diving one-hand catching. Like, he was doing it, like, routinely. And so, by far, like I said, the best hands on the list, in the club, honestly. And probably, if not, I would say definitely one of the best route runners that's in the club right now. He just proved to us this last season by moving to the slot and putting together a true route tree that the slot receiver needs to have, that package. And he had that package this year. And so I just think it's crazy that he's a receiver that has been there. He's almost gotten to the Super Bowl, but he hasn't quite gotten there yet. And real quick side note, it's crazy because the reason why I brought up Pitt, I went into work the other day and we had somebody had ESPN Classic playing on the TV there, and as soon as I walked in the door, you see Larry Fitzgerald catching a deep ball. He had two defenders pretty much draped on him for the most part, and this is when he was in college. He caught a deep ball, two defenders draped on him, and he just caught it, boom, went into the end zone. And it was just like one of those things where you feel like the defenders had quality coverage on him, but it was just Larry Fitzgerald was a grown-ass man. And you can't do anything about a grown-ass man. When you're covering a grown-ass man, you can do whatever you want. You can have textbook coverage. You can flip your hips. You can get it out of your back pedal in time. You can get up the field in time. You can read the quarterback's eyes, read the ball. And if you're just covering that grown-ass man, he's still going to catch it. He's just going to catch it. You can do whatever you want as a defensive back. And there's just some guys that you just got to tip your hat to and say, well, you did your job. Our next club member, now we're getting into some of the younger guys. If you guys noticed that we were on the older side of the spectrum, but now we're getting into some of the younger guys. We have Mike Evans. Now, Mike Evans, I'm a fan of Mike Evans, but it was just, I don't know, it's crazy. I don't know how to explain Mike Evans. Like, I don't feel like he should be as good as he is, but he is as good as he is, if that makes sense. He's a guy that, once again, I feel like Larry Fitzgerald, he's not going to run away from you. He's not going to blow you off the line, but he has good speed. Like, he has decent speed, but the thing that he possessed is that 6'5", almost 6'6" frame of his, you know what I mean? Like, his catch radius, once again, like, let's put it out there. A grown man, to be considered a grown man, you got to have a catch radius. We don't care about your route tree, because 9 times out of 10, you're probably not going to get away from us. Probably not going to get away from very many people. But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, you got to have a catch radius as a grown man. So we're going to we're going to clear that up right now. Mike Evans and everyone else on this list has a crazy catch radius. But with Mike Evans, I feel like when Jameis Winston throws him the ball, it's his. Like, it's going to be his ball one way or another. He has great body control. That's something I didn't talk about with other guys. I feel like Jordy Nelson's another guy that has good body control. But with Mike Evans, a guy of his size and his stature, you wouldn't expect him to have the body control that he possesses. Julio Jones is another guy as well. Great body control. And it's just like he gets up and he jumps and he gets the ball, and it's just boom, his feet are gonna come down and bounce one way or another. And I mean, 6'5", he has a lot of length to work with. And he finds a way to get his feet down, gets up and attacks the ball. CIT with the best, and it's crazy what he brings to the table. But I don't feel like he's fast. Like, it's just one of those things where you look at him like, all right, I can cover him. It's just blazing speed. But yeah, you can have blazing speed once again, textbook coverage. What we say, catch radius. Jameis Winston just got put in the vicinity. I mean, the dude was probably one of the most, I think, if not the most targeted receiver in the league. And granted, he dropped a couple, but he probably has the worst hands on the league. Not in the league. He probably has the worst hands on the list, but he gets the ball. Like, when it's his, it's his. And I think if he works on his catching, he can definitely be one of those guys that we look at and say, Mike Evans is a beast. Like, how do you cover or how do you stop Mike Evans? But he's definitely creeping his way up there, and it's like, in my personal opinion, that 2013 draft class, with Odell and Evans and Benjamin and all those guys, I feel like that when it comes down to it, Mike Evans can be the one that really just surpasses them all. Like even with my boy Landry, and I'm a huge fan of Landry, but even with him, I feel like that he can be the one that end up surpassing them all because of the quarterback play that he's going to consistently have throughout his career now, and just his ability to be a grown ass man. I think that's going to give him longevity in the league. A lot of those other guys, you gotta have to find other ways to be in the league longer, but I feel like Mike Evans is working to something way much greater. Now we have our rookie. Just like our 6 foot under club, we had a rookie on that list. On this list, our rookie is Michael Thomas, or rookie. He's no longer a rookie, 1 year pro. But Michael Thomas, the New Orleans Saints receiver, I was a fan of his coming out of Ohio State, and I definitely feel like he was going to be a solid receiver. But I didn't think he was going to be as good as he was last year. You can definitely see the progression throughout the year. Early season, it wasn't doing too much, wasn't doing too crazy. It wasn't going off too crazy. But the later parts of the season, as the season went along, Drew Brees started to trust him more. You start to see route running. You start to see discipline. You start to see hands, decent speed. I think he has that Jerry Rice factor. Not fast, but can out route run you to the point where I'm gonna get separation. I'm gonna create separation with my route running ability. But definitely still a guy that you gotta respect on the deep ball. It's just like that's just how it is. And I feel like that him being in New Orleans with Drew Brees, hopefully for another couple of seasons, is definitely gonna allow him to grow into a true grown man receiver, into a guy that you can cover. That once again, I feel like that could be. In this case, I think he would just be too much for one corner to handle, and you have to respect him with your safety. And you don't want to respect one receiver with your safety, but with all these guys on this list, you're gonna have to respect him with your safety. And I feel like with Michael Thomas, he's eventually going to get to that level of growth with Drew Brees being his quarterback. You're gonna have to respect him with the safety, and then that's just gonna open up so much more for everyone else on the team. All right, that's all I have for you guys this week. I really want to put this video out. It just, kind of combats my 6 foot and under club video. Now it's time to start working on quarterbacks, offensive linemen, and defensive players. That's some videos or some clubs that I have for you guys as well. So I'm trying to get those together as well. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like it, and share it with all your friends. And let me know who your 6 foot and under, or not 6 foot and under, sorry, your grown man club receivers are. Please put those down in the comment section below. I'll be looking out for those. And if you're not a footballologist yet, I don't know what you're waiting on. Go subscribe to the Footballology channel and become a footballologist today. And stay safe, football fans.